Hello, ladies. I am very happy to be here today. My name is Stacy Miller. I am a wealth advisor and a certified financial planner with Bright Investments. I'm talking to you today from sunny Tampa, Florida, and I'm very happy that I have the opportunity to talk about one of the most important concepts I think all young people need to know before they start working. It is compound interest. Now, before I get to compound interest, I want to make sure that we understand what simple interest is and how it's different. Let's say, for example, you loaned a friend $100 and they agreed to pay you 5% interest for the privilege of borrowing $100 from you. For that obligation to be done, to be complete, they would have to pay you $105, again, for that privilege of borrowing $100. How I did that calculation was I multiplied $100 times 1.05, or 105%. So they owed $5 for the privilege of buying 100. Doesn't seem too bad, right? But that's simple interest. And most of the time in the financial world, we're dealing with something called compound interest. Albert Einstein has a great quote. You probably all know who he is, a really smart guy. And this quote is fantastic, and I share it with my clients all the time. The quote is, "Compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it, or in our case, she who understands it, earns it, and she who doesn't pays it." So that's why we're here today. So I can help you to understand compound interest so you can earn it and not pay it. So let's figure out, how does compound interest work? To do that, I'm going to tell you a little story about a time when I didn't understand compound interest the way that I do now. And it's not only understanding it, but it's appreciating what it really means for your financial security. So I was 17 years old when I left home and I went to college. I had a credit card. I thought I was just the most fun and exciting person there ever was. And I had this credit card, which to me meant free money rather than the emergency funding that was supposed to be. And so one of the things I did right away was to go out and buy a very jazzy pair of sunglasses for myself, because I'm at college and I'm meeting new people and I wanted them to like me. So I bought a pair of really fun sunglasses. They actually weren't as fun as these pink sunglasses. They were black and gold Ray-Bans. They cost about $100 at the time. That was a lot of money. And I'm a little bit old, so that was a really long time ago, and they cost much more than that now. Well, at the time, I had a credit card that paid probably 16.25%, about 16.28%. So I'm going to use that same $100 number that I did with simple interest. If you remember, with simple interest and 5% interest, the borrower owed $105 for the privilege of borrowing $100. And that didn't seem too bad. Well, let's take, for example, that same 5% interest in a compounding situation. Now, with a credit card, you owe a minimum payment every single month. And that minimum payment is a very small number compared to the amount you borrowed. And for my sunglasses, I borrowed money and I used that credit card for other things. So my bill was bigger than just that $100, but I'm just focusing on that $100 for the purpose of making our point today. So if my credit card was 5%, just like the simple interest example I gave a minute ago, and it took me 60 months or 5 years to pay off those sunglasses, then I actually would have paid $128.34 for the privilege of borrowing that $100 for my super jazzy sunglasses. $128. Wow, that's a lot. I barely thought that they were worth $100. So that's a lot. But the truth of it is, that wasn't the interest rate that my credit card had then. And it's not the interest rate that any of the people that you know has either. The average credit card rate today is 16.28%. That was the number I gave earlier. But the highest credit card rate is much higher than that. But let's calculate it with that 16.28%. If I borrowed $100 for my super jazzy sunglasses at 6.28%, and it took me 5 years to pay it off, it actually would have cost me $224.46 for the privilege of borrowing $100 for those sunglasses. More than twice the price. That's with an average credit card amount. What if we don't have good credit? What if we have bad credit, which means we don't pay our bills on time and we're not a very good risk for someone, a bank or a credit card company or someone to loan us money? We're a really, really big risk because we don't do a very good job at paying our bills. Well, in that case, to make the risk worth their time and effort in loaning me the $100, they're going to give me a credit card rate of 36%. So I want you to think about how much it might cost for me to buy a pair of really jazzy sunglasses for $100 and to pay my credit card 36% compounding every single month for 5 years. The total would actually be $589.16 for a $100 pair of sunglasses. So let's go back to what Albert Einstein said. If you understand compound interest, you're more likely to earn it. You want to earn that kind of an interest payment for loaning someone $100 rather than make that interest payment to someone else for the privilege of borrowing that $100. So let me say that quote again. Compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. She who understands it earns it. She who doesn't pays it. So now that you understand that paying compound interest is not very fun and probably not worth it no matter what those sunglasses looked like, then you need to turn your attention to having good credit and earning interest. And you can earn interest with different kinds of investments. So let's talk about that thing before we finish up, that good credit. That means you're making your bill payments on time for all of your bills, even if it's just the minimum. You have the minimum amount of outstanding credit, which means you're not borrowing very much money, maybe to buy a car, maybe to buy a home, but not for the super jazzy sunglasses, right? So good credit is a number that's over 740. Credit scores are numbers that range from 300 to 800, 900, somewhere in there. Anything over 740 is good credit. And that means you're going to get the opportunity to borrow money at a slightly less interest rate than everyone else. Anything below 670 is bad credit. And that means you're going to be a big risk. And in order for someone to lend you money for a car, for your home, for sunglasses, for credit cards, that means you're going to be paying that 36% instead of the 16% or maybe the 5% that we discussed at the beginning. So I hope you now understand compound interest in a way that will make you make good financial choices going forward. I hope that you enjoyed my sunglasses story and that you will think smarter than I ever did as a young woman. And I wish you all wellness and happiness. Thank you so much.